Happy Wednesday once again. Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. Game 7 of the SEC tournament wraps up. Tennessee gets the floor mopped with them tonight by Vanderbilt. 13-4. Let's get in this thing tonight. What happened? Are we concerned? Is it just another night? Is it the SEC tournament? What happened tonight? There's a lot of different things we can look at on this one. A lot of different opinions we can have. Will the Outlaw come out tonight, or is it going to be Cool Hand, or is it going to be a combination of both? I guess we'll wait and see here on it. Before we get into any of that, make sure you like this thing, that you share it. Any Tennessee fans, any baseball fans, any just fans of sports in general that may like it, share it out to them. Let them come check out the channel, see what they think about it. If you're a football fan, a basketball fan, a baseball fan, this is the channel for you. We're doing a little bit of all of it here. Just released a video earlier tonight talking about Chaz Lanier. I've been on that one pretty heavily, trying to update as much as possible. And I'm still liking where that one's trending for Tennessee. I've liked it the whole time, regardless of the freakouts of the last week. I'm going to continue to stance on it until I hear otherwise. If he goes somewhere else, so be it. He does. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't guarantee it. But I still think Tennessee's in good hands there with it. We're going to talk Tennessee baseball tonight. We're going to talk Tennessee baseball the rest of the season as it goes. SEC tournament tonight. You guys that have been with me this entire time, and before we get in for it, make sure you, if you haven't already, you subscribe. There is an option for super thanks, super chats along the way. We'd appreciate that as well. That's always appreciated. But, it's one of those things to me. You guys, you've heard my opinions on the SEC tournament. Greg German, I'm assuming True Midway, please don't overreact. Greg and anybody else, if you've listened to me this whole time, talk about going back to basketball, SEC tournaments. I could care less about them. I could care less about them. Does tonight bother me? No. It does. Is it embarrassing? Yes, I think to an extent it is. But, we're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about the bad. We're going to talk about the ugly tonight. I'm just giving you a hard time, Greg. Just don't get bothered by what I said. Thank you for tuning in. All right, just giving you a hard time. Yes, I think Tennessee treated this more like a midweek game with their pitching. I thought it was interesting that they went with Nate Snead starting tonight. Tony Vitello has talked about along the line that Snead's wanted to pitch more. Gave him his chance tonight. We saw what they do with Snead. When they go with Xander Sechrist, that they go with Nate Snead. Snead had a rough night tonight. They come out, talk to him. Would it have been different if they had pulled him then? I don't know. I mean, who's to say someone else wouldn't have come in and give up those runs? But, they pitched like it was a midweek game for the most part. The positives for me, then, we'll start with the positives before we get into it. There was a big positive tonight, a major positive for Tennessee tonight. You guys can probably guess what it was with me. A.J. Russell, 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, had 2 strikeouts, faced 5 batters, had a ground out, 22 pitches, 15 strikes. That's a big positive for me. A.J. Russell and his 1 inning tonight. That's what, I released a video earlier in the week talking about A.J. Russell. Yes, and we'll get to that one in just a minute as well. Greg, absolutely. You're spot on there. A.J. Russell, that's the first one we'll start with. That's kind of the big one. And I think someone's going to have a big emphasis on what Tennessee does moving forward. He looked good tonight. He had his same movement, which I'm curious about because guys come off of injuries. You wonder, do they have the stuff they've had prior to it? I thought he had good stuff tonight. To me, with A.J. Russell, the thing is, how's his movement? I'm not sure if he throws a two-seamer, if it's just his arm angle that causes it to go, kind of left to right or what. He had that again tonight. That was encouraging to me. That's the first one. Yep, I'm going to hit this one right here. DH, Reese Chapman. Reese Chapman coming up to the outfield. Reese Chapman didn't want to lose anyone's love tonight, and by God, he didn't either. 3-run bomb tonight. That's a couple games recently we've seen out of Reese Chapman where he's hit that 3-run bomb or that bomb in play. It was 5-1 at that point in time. Reese Chapman put that team back into the game. His first at bat I thought was good. He grounded out and ended the inning. But he fought, he battled, he at least put the ball in play, which encouraged me. Next time when he had the 2 runners on, there were 2 outs, and that was big. That's clutch hitting. That's what Tennessee's been looking for out of that DH spot. They've not seen it a whole lot. Reese Chapman come through in that spot with that 3-run home run, put Tennessee back in the game at 5-4. Now, considering the score is 13-4, that was pretty much the last positive as far as offense went for the night for Tennessee. But that was encouraging to me as well. Reese Chapman coming through on that one. Couple other things. Looking at the pitch, of course, Kirby Cannell come in. He had a pretty good inning. He had 1 inning. Got his guys out in that inning. AJ Russell went through an inning. Everybody else tonight, man. Banky got out of an inning. He did all right to get out of the inning. His next inning, he 2 hits, 1 run. Dylan Loy was a third, 2 hits, 1 run. Here's the thing that got me tonight. I guess I'm looking at positives. Let's stay with that. Blake Burke, 2 for 3 tonight. Hunter Inslee, that first inning, come through with a double, got that run in. Dean Curley had a hit and a walk tonight. I thought that was positive for him just because I feel he struggled with the bat recently. Other than that, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm finding a whole lot to find positive tonight. So let's go with the bad tonight. The good, we talked about the bad. The bad was, of course, 8 strikeout. Kavaris Tears night. This one could be ugly. 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts. I feel like it's been all or nothing with this guy recently. I really do. I feel like the avocado tree. That's a pretty good one right there. I'm going to get to a few comments right here. D. Hurt said they come out flat, didn't like the pitching choice. I didn't have a problem with it. Your SEC tournament, it's not a big deal, honestly. To me, it's not, all right? It's the big deal. You threw Nate Snead, who I feel is one of your best pitchers. He didn't have it as a starter. He's pitched out of the bullpen all year. They threw midweek guys the rest of the night for the most part. You got Cannell a little bit. I think Cannell come in to kind of put that fire out in that inning to try to keep it close. AJ Russell come in, got his inning in. I wonder if we'll see him anymore this weekend. A lot of that's probably going to depend on how much further they go. I don't know if they would bring him back tomorrow or not. But that they did exactly what I said going in. I feel they should do is let these guys, your guys you don't normally see on the weekends, pitch to see what they have. We saw it tonight. We saw why these guys don't pitch on the weekends. Let's face it. You led a team tonight. I thought this was part of the ugly. You led a team tonight who is not a power hitting team, hit 4 home runs. I think they said they tied their season high in home runs. I have a problem with that. I do have a problem with that. Ronnie Freeman, best thing, no injuries. Yeah, absolutely. No injuries. That's what you want to get through with the NIS. Greg said Russell looked good. Offense hit the ball well, just didn't fall. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it doesn't show up. They hit some good shots tonight, didn't fall. Sometimes you have those nights. We found out there won't be young arms out of the pen that can be depended on in tournament play. I could see possibly Dylan Loy and Andrew Banky getting called upon. I don't see Phillips, I don't see Dallas, and I don't see Garcia pitching anymore after this weekend unless it's just an absolute emergency. If you get in some game of the tournament, it goes 15, 16 innings, maybe you do, but I think we're seeing why these guys are throwing just midweek like they are. Aaron Height said, I wonder if anybody else, if they really bought the avocado tree. I didn't even, I kind of caught some of that was going on with the avocado tree. It's pretty funny, though. I don't even know what the whole basis was on that, but that is pretty funny stuff right there for sure. Again, looking at it, Snead, 2 2/3, 5 innings, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, gave up the home run, which, he was close. I guess you could say he's kind of close to getting out of a jam. Then he gives up the home run. His ERA rocketed from like 2.67 to 3.30 tonight. That's a pretty significant increase. Cannell's under 4 for the year. AJ Russell, 4.73. That's misleading just because, his minimal action, you've seen he's gotten hit a little bit in that minimal action, but this guy's much better than 4.73 on the ERA scale. I can tell you that right now. And any of you guys watching know that as well. The first thing I'll do too is you got to give Vanderbilt credit. They come out, they hit the ball, they did their thing. They had one of their weekend guys throwing tonight. A lot more urgency on Vanderbilt's part also. But, with Tennessee, you look at them. We'll change my lighting here just a little bit. With it's kind of strange on my end. But you just got to give Vanderbilt credit. They took care of Florida last night. I really got to wonder if Florida's even in the NCAA tournament. I don't know that Florida's earned it because they sucked midweek. They're well under 500 in conference. I don't know that Florida's in. I really don't. If they get in, I've got to question who they're getting in over in that regard. But, again, tonight, going back to the pitching, it was all midweek guys being thrown. There's a reason they threw them tonight, because if you lose tonight, if you go 2 and barbecue in this tournament, it means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. I have no problem if they get beat again tomorrow. I really don't. I'm not worried about seeding. It's a good question, but a lot of people said they didn't want to be the number 1 seed to begin with because of the jinx on it. So Tennessee's not going to fall below basically a top 8 seed. There's just, I don't see any way they will. And you got to look at today. Kentucky got blown out by LSU. Arkansas got beat by South Carolina. I think Tennessee's fine. I don't know if Tennessee will be a 1 seed, but I don't know. It's going to depend on what happens with this tournament. I mean, if you look at the bracket right now as to who's left, you have LSU versus South Carolina tomorrow. You have Vanderbilt versus the winner of A&M Mississippi State tonight. So, if that holds true, and one of those 4, let's say A&M goes through and wins the SEC tournament, do they jump up and become overall number 1 seed? I do want to, I'm curious about the ACC tournament, because I think that's the one that may have some bearing here. Let me see if I can find that bracket. Here we go. Let's pull that up here real quick, because I've seen North Carolina listed. All right, let's see where we're at. All right, this thing. This is messed up. If this thing's up to date, you've got Florida State versus Virginia tomorrow. Okay, I'm assuming this is up to date. And this is based on pool play today. So, yeah, I don't know. This is kind of screwed up looking at. Let's see. Looks to me like you've got Clemson. Let me see if I can find a better. That's pretty screwed up the way that looked. did not look like an actual bracket. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, they're doing pool play. Okay. Very interesting. I kind of like that. So tomorrow in pool play, you have Florida State versus Virginia, Louisville versus Clemson, Wake Forest versus North Carolina. So I think you're looking at potentially, let's say North Carolina comes out of this thing and wins it. I think North Carolina could possibly be a number 1 seed. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but I think that that's your possibility. A&M wins the SEC tournament. Do they move up and become the number 1 overall seed? Where I think Tennessee goes, even Tennessee goes 2 in barbecue on this one. I think they're a top 4 seed, and that's fine. That means you're going to host a regional. You're going to host a super regional. When you get to Omaha, all bets are off. I don't think seeding, to me, seeding doesn't mean that much when you get to Omaha. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong on that as well. But when you get to Omaha, you're facing the best of the best. Tennessee has seen it numerous times when they've gotten there. When they got there the first year under Vitello against Virginia, and all of a sudden, Virginia was not one of your top 8, top 16 seeds. They were a lower seed, but they come in. They had the pitching, though. You're going to face top-notch pitchers when you get there, regardless if it's a number 1 seed or if it's a 2 or 3 or possibly even a 4 seed that makes a run there. So I think the big thing for Tennessee is they're going to be in position to host a regional and a super regional. I think that's where it's going to be. And you're going to probably you're going to have a good draw in your regional. And if you do make it to your super regional, I feel like you'll get a lower teens seed right there. I'm looking at I'm thinking worst case 3 seed for Tennessee in this one, based on what North Carolina does, and based on, let's say, if A&M or Arkansas or somebody comes up and wins this thing. I don't know that Tennessee, Arkansas, nor Kentucky wants to exhaust what it's going to require to come back and win this thing. I'm not saying they won't try, but at the same time, I don't know that to any of those 3 teams it's going to make that big of a difference as well. What you ran into today, if you're Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee, South Carolina is fighting for seeding. LSU is fighting for it. Virginia, not Virginia. Vanderbilt. They're all 3 fighting either to get in the tournament or to get better seeding. And that's what those teams are fighting. They have more, and I'm not taking anything away from them. They come to play. South Carolina, Arkansas games interesting. Arkansas was challenging, and Ethan Petrie, man, made a hell of a play in right field. Really preserved some runs. South Carolina got out of that inning tied and come back, and they end up winning that ball game. I hope I'm on kind of an out there for me. Tennessee's going to have to hit the portal. I'd like to see Ethan Petrie get tired of South Carolina after this offseason, hit the portal and come to Knoxville. He'd be an awesome addition down in Knoxville. Who knows? South Carolina fans want Kingston gone badly up there. Who knows what could happen with it? He's making a run right now. Who's to say if they go out quickly in the regional that South Carolina doesn't make a change? I know their fans want it. And if it happened, I'd love to see Petrie hit that portal and come to Knoxville. That'd be awesome right there. It'd be a good start for next year. But, you look at it in Tennessee, I'm curious to see, do they go Stamos, Causey tomorrow, or because you threw a lot of your midweek guys today. So do they kind of get more into that regular rotation? Because it'll have been a week since these guys have thrown. I think it's possible to see that with Stamos, Causey tomorrow. I don't know how long they go with Causey. I don't know if they would ride him 5, 6, 7 innings or not. But, who else are they going to go back with, Dallas or Phillips or one of them? I can't see it at this point. I really can't. I mean, if they keep going into the weekend, possibly. But I think these guys have kind of shown you what they have, and they're not ready right now. Next year, you hope they take that step and they're ready. but right now they're not. And I think that's a bit disappointing because these guys were, I think there was a lot thought of them coming into the season, and it's just not worked out. And, I don't know if it's a case they're not trusting their pitches, for not listening to Frank Anderson or not. Here's what we figured out, along the way. And we saw it back to last year. We've seen it now. Frank Anderson knows how to get it done. When we've seen things not happen, Frank Anderson's pretty damn good at what he does. If guys aren't trusting in him, that's on them. And I think he's proven and given, he's one of the best pitching coaches in all college baseball. I don't think that's even arguable at this point. But, I just, like I said, I'm kind of curious to see where it is. Let's see what else we got here in the comments. Brian said, calm down, folks. Tony V's got to. Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, like I said, I think they even go out tomorrow. It's not a big deal. They're still, in my opinion, I can't see how they get jumped as far as a top 4 seed. And a lot of people said they don't want to be the 1 seed. If they go 2 and out, how bad does it affect their seeding? I'll say this. I think worst case, they're top 5, which that means you're hosting a regional, you're hosting a super regional. I'm not worried about Omaha. You've got to get there. So once you get to Omaha, you're going against the best of the best. So, it is what it is. Interesting one. Saw it on X again. I've seen it here before. Billy's less of a liability at third than Antigua is with the bat. Yeah, I wonder about that too. That was one of mine. I mean, that was kind of when you're reaching for DH. Do you try Antigua at short? But Antigua doesn't hit either. So, do you just put him in at shortstop for defense? Do you pull Billy off, risk upsetting him, put Curley on third, who Curley's not really lighting it up to plate either? Or do you stick what you have and then you go Bargo, who had a good last game, and then you go Reese Chapman today, who had that 3-run bomb today? I think there's a reason Tony Vitello's gone why he has. And when you get to that situation with DH, and we've talked about it numerous times on here, what do you do? And you're just kind of looking for options. And that was one of mine I wondered about. I think we're seeing Antigua hit a good shot up the middle. Pitcher made a good play to knock it down, or else I feel that's a base hit. But still yet, Antigua, that bat's not it. And I'm hoping Curley can get back going, because I feel like the last month or so, he's really struggled. His average is down to I think I saw him 287. So his average keeps going down and down. And you hope some guys are not hitting those slumps at the wrong time on that. Top 3 lost today. Yep, absolutely. Want to be a top 8. I really feel like Tennessee's locked in as a top 8 just because of you've got Arkansas, Kentucky in there as well. You've got North Carolina, Clemson, A&M's going to be in there. That's got to be, 6 of your top 8. I'm trying to think who else would come in on that one. I feel a top 8's a lock. I really feel top 5 is a lock on that. I think Tennessee's in good shape on that regardless of what happens this weekend. Tony values rotation trend over this tourney. If we end up making runs, Snead will be available against Sander this week. I could see that happening, especially because you're going to have to, you're going to have to exhaust a lot to come back and win this tournament, because it's going into Sunday. So you're going to have to go tomorrow. You're going to have to go Friday, Saturday, and you're going to have to keep going. I mean, look at the SEC bracket. So Tennessee tomorrow, I think that I saw, here we go. Tennessee is the loser of Game 7, so they will play the loser of A&M Mississippi State tomorrow. The first game's at 9:30. I think this is Central Time, so that would be 10:30 Eastern Time. Tennessee's probably going to play closer to 1:30, 2 o'clock. So if they win that one, that's Game 10. They would play Friday, and it says to be determined. They win that one, they would play Saturday. So I don't see where they would have to play 2 in the same day or anything. Now, I could be wrong on that, but seems to me like it's pretty much set up one per day. I still think they would have to exhaust a lot of energy, a lot of pitching to get that far. But we'll see how it goes there. 41 of you in here right now. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Feeling generous, want to throw super chat, super thanks in here. We'd appreciate that in here as well. Always appreciative of that. What a stinker today. Yeah, I mean, my biggest issue with today is just that we allowed Vanderbilt to hit 4 home runs. You're throwing it right down the middle to them. I mean, you're putting your midweek guys in, but still, a little bit tonight was a little bit embarrassed. Yeah, I agree with this, D. Hurt. I said, I kind of pondered it. Because Amick had a little bit of a rough patch at third base, but I feel like he's kind of rebounded here. I think you leave it as is. I think it's either Bargo or Chapman the rest of the way at DH. Nobody else has proved they can do anything. Bargo and Chapman have been hitting a little bit at DH. I think that's your two guys the rest of the way. I don't think there's anybody else that you need to go with there. The shift killed a lot of would-be hits tonight. Yep, agree with that. Let's see what. No, Big Papa, good question. This game doesn't count in the big tournament. Absolutely not. It may affect being the number 1 overall seed, but as far as in that, no, that'll be a whole new thing next weekend, whether they start on Friday or Saturday. Normally, the big tournament starts Friday, and some of the regions start on Saturday. So we'll see where Tennessee starts in that regard. But nope, as far as wins, losses, it has no bearing on that. It will be a fresh start next weekend. Tennessee will host a regional in Knoxville. It's just a matter of where are they seating wise, and we should find that out first of the day, probably Monday, I think. David Polk, throw guys tomorrow to set up rotation for regional. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. And I think that's a pretty good comment and a pretty good observation on that one. I think you probably go Stamos, Causey tomorrow, because you got to factor in they're going to throw bullpens anyway. It's like just from that time of the last game against South Carolina that these guys are just going to take 2 weeks off. No, they're going to throw bullpens a long way. I've talked about this last year. Tennessee concluded their series at South Carolina. I went to that Saturday where it was the doubleheader. After that second game, they went straight down. Frank Anderson was straight down the bullpen. The guys who did not throw were throwing bullpens. I sat there and watched them throw bullpens. And this was right before they went to Hoover. So, you're either getting guys bullpens or you're getting them live work. And I don't know that you can replicate what live work gives for you. I think you'll see some of that tomorrow. I would totally expect Stamos, Causey. I could see a little bit of Combs. I could see a little bit of, some of your other guys. They threw a lot of guys today. So the only ones I would say you probably will not see tomorrow are Snead and Beam. I don't think some of these young guys that throw midweek that we'll see much more of them, probably even the rest of the season. And then, it's the nature of the beast now. Some of these guys may have to make a choice at the end of the year what they want to do. Do they see themselves as part of this rotation or not? Tennessee's going to have to go out and get a lot of players this offseason. They're losing a lot of their offense. They're losing. To me, I'll touch upon it. So let me get into that subject here in a minute while we're talking current game and regional tournament. I'm going to get into a minute what Tennessee's going to have to replace. I'm going to say we're at the 30-minute mark, 35-minute mark. I'm going to hit on next season and what we're looking at. But Tony don't want that one seed. I don't think so either. A lot of people say that you do not want that one seed. So Vitello may be aware of that as well. I don't think, like I said, I think if you're a top 8 and you get to Omaha, it's a crapshoot. You're going to see top-notch pitching when you get there. If you get there and see a Wake Forest, you're going to see a Chase Burns at some point. I have 2 topics for you guys. I have 2 of them. 38 of you in here right now. I got a good one for you. if you could add one guy, I saw this earlier in the week, one guy that's been a volunteer, a former volunteer, could be anyone, could be someone who transferred, could be someone who's pitching in the majors, playing in the majors, someone who's retired. If you could add one guy right now to this team going into the NCAA tournament at their peak, in their prime, who would it be that's been a former Vol? So I'm not talking add Ronald Acuna or Aaron Judge or Max Fried or Chris Sale or whomever. I'm talking about who would you add? And if you think about what this offense is. Think about what this team needs the most. The easy choice is Todd Helton because he's the greatest player in Tennessee baseball history. But would he actually satisfy the need for this team? So I'm going to let you guys kind of ponder on that, see what you think. I'm curious to see some of the responses on here. And I'd like to hear why you go with them. Helton's an easy one. I agree with that one. Helton's easy for numerous reasons. He's the greatest player in Tennessee baseball history. He was an awesome first baseman, and he was a closer, so he could give two things. But is there any kind of outside the box guys out there as well? And like I said, in 3 minutes, I want to discuss next year's team. So we're looking at this now going into the weekend. Stamos, Causey, I feel like that's the way tomorrow. If they get to Friday, Drew Beam, I think that's got to be your way there. They get to Saturday, I think at your Seacrest, possibly you come back with Nate Snead. What happens if you get to Sunday, though? Do they go? How do they go with that? I think that will be an interesting one there. But to me, again, I'm not worried about tonight. Does it concern me about the future? Possibly. But, guys sometimes take their greatest leap from their first year to their next year as well. I mean, we watched tonight. As far as guys who factor into the weekend, we saw Snead. Banky's been throwing a little bit. Loy occasionally. Cannell is definitely a weekend guy. He can come in and throw some during the week. And then A.J. Russell, I think we want him definitely as a weekend guy. Other than that, I mean, Garcia, Dallas, Phillips, they're midweek guys. Their ERA show that 4.35, 4.76, 4.70 respectively, and how I'll mention those guys. Lloyd, 2.74, very good ERA. Banky, 3.54. Those two guys occasionally come up on the weekends. Garcia, Dallas, Phillips, they're midweek guys. Phillips did come in, knock down a save at Kentucky, but at this point, I don't think we see Phillips anymore after. We may see him this weekend. I don't know that we see him anymore the rest of the season. I just think it is what it is at this point. I'm really curious to see how they manage it the rest of the week. And again, I kind of wonder the mindset is if they lose tomorrow, if they're even really worried about it. I really do. Let's see what we got here. So a couple of you said, let's see, somebody said Drew Gilbert. Got a couple Todd Heltons, also pitches, hell of a leader. Yeah, absolutely. Satisfy the need. Lipscomb, move to DH. That's a pretty good one. Lipscomb's been doing some good things up with the Nationals this year. Dollander for pitching. That's a good one. We could really use Burns this year. You've almost seen where I'm going. I'm going to 2, actually, here. Crochet for pitching. That is a good one. I've got it down to 2. Oh, my God, we lost to Vandy. Why didn't we show up? I mean, that's a good question. It's good. I think there's numerous ways we could go with that one. Cassie, I think number one, they didn't throw their best pitchers today. First of all, we'll give Vanderbilt credit. Vanderbilt come out. I think they had arguably, maybe not even arguable, one of their best hitting performances against the year. Tennessee, I mean, we saw Snead. Snead started opposed to come in relief. We saw Cannell for a little bit. We saw A.J. Russell. I think we just got to chalk it up. Got to give Vanderbilt credit today. And, I'm by no means trying to take away from them, but they didn't see Tennessee's best today. That's all I'm going to chalk it up to. And I'm just not that concerned about it today. I'm going to go with some of you. Dolander's an interesting one. Would it be 22 or 23 Dolander? I thought Dolander was pretty rough. I did see him pitch in person last year and he was lights out. Vitello pulled him, Burns come in and got lit up. If I had to go, man, I'm probably going Crochet. Probably going him on it. But I would have a hard time not going Chase Burns. I would have a hard time not going Chase Burns. And here's the reason I don't go Todd Helton. We got Blake Burke now. I feel we've got good closers. And Aaron Combs, Snead, for the most part, has been pretty good. I feel there's some guys back there. The way Aaron Combs is pitching right now is lights out. Obviously, you'd be crazy to turn down Todd Helton. Nobody mentioned Chris Burke, which I don't know where Chris Burke fits in. Lipscomb's an interesting one. Drew Gilbert's an interesting one. I'm going pitching just because I think that's where this team needs more. I'm going Garrett. Andrew, yeah, Frank put Burns back in the pen. Yeah, that's why Burns looking pretty good at Wake Forest this year. He's looking pretty good. They're 22 Dolander. Man, 22 Dolander was top notch. So I think you go Crochet, you go Garrett, you go 22 Dolander. Maybe you go Wake Forest Chase Burns. That's, I think, all in all. Another one that's not being mentioned, Luke Hochaver. What about him when he was here? And Luke Hochaver was top notch too. Nick Senzel, nobody's mentioned him. Could you go? I mentioned Chris Burke. R.A. Dickey? No R.A. Dickey takers out there? R.A. Dickey was the man when he was here. Trying to think who else. Who's some of the top guys over the years? Of course, you went back in time. Rick Honeycutt. Would you put Rick Honeycutt out here or Phil Garner or somebody? I'm going pitching. I'm going either Crochet or I'm going Hochaver. I think so. And the reason I'm going them over Burns or 22 Dolander, they're lefty versus righty. Lefties seem to give lineups a whole lot more trouble than righties do. Not to say that Dolander and Burns didn't give lineups trouble. They absolutely did. But that's where I would go with it. One of those. I said I was going to talk about next year's roster. I'm about 3 minutes behind on that one. So I'm going to kind of go into some of this now. Looking at Tennessee's offense, if I look at that lineup today, Moore gone, Burke gone, Amick gone, Dreiling gone. Dreiling's a sophomore, but he's of age. He can go. He's gone. I've seen debate on Hunter Ensley. I think Hunter Ensley's gone. I really do. I think he's played his way up into, he's solid defense. He's a very good defensive center fielder. I'll look at Cortland Lawson a couple years ago. Cortland Lawson reminded me a lot of Hunter Ensley, maybe a little bit more power. Cortland Lawson played pretty solid defense, hit about the same average as Hunter Ensley, a little bit more power, but he was drafted and he went. He was of course, he was in that, I think, 15 to 20 round pick, maybe. I saw, it was last year, I was living in Columbia. I went and saw the Columbia Fireflies play. They were playing the Nationals. And I was just looking at the lineup, and all of a sudden they announced Cortland Lawson. It took me a second. It was like, he was playing. He was batting like second for the Nationals team. That was their, their single A team up in Columbia. But, Cortland Lawson's moving on up. I compare Ensley to him in the respect, obviously, they're different positions, but they both play solid defense. Lawson may be a little bit more power than Ensley, but I really think Ensley will get picked this year. And people are confused on major league drafts. They think that, well, if they're not a top 10, they won't come back, or they will come back. That's not the case. The major league draft now is top 20. It's a 20-round draft. If you get picked, odds are you're gone. And an allotment, the way you spend your money, you can't just give it all to your first-round pick and then go along the way. A guy like Hunter Ensley, if he gets picked, he's going to have more leverage this year in terms of his signing bonus. Their slot is what it is in terms of what they get paid, but their signing bonus, especially if they get picked in the latter part of the draft, is where they can make up for that. Jared Dickey did it this past off season. He was picked, I think, around round 10, but he got a pretty nice signing bonus out of it. His slot was what it was, but Kansas City managed their signing bonuses where they could sign guys later. The Atlanta Braves have done that for years. That's how they stocked their team, doing that. They would draft kind of below slot in the first round, which then gave them more value to load up throughout. A guy like Hunter Inslee this year, if he gets drafted, he's going to have a little bit of leverage in terms of what he can ask for, or he can come back. He can do that. But here's the thing with it. If Hunter Inslee is drafted, he elects to come back to college. Let's say he doesn't really improve and he doesn't help his stock any. If he's a late round pick next year, he's going to sign for what they offer him. He's not going to have leverage, or he's not going to get picked at all on it, and they'll look to sign him as a free agent. So you got to keep that in mind, especially if it's a junior with 1 year of eligibility left, that now is when they have the leverage. They're not going to have it next year. So if they get picked, the odds are pretty strong that they're gone. So I do feel pretty strong that Dreiling, that Inslee, Kavaris Tears all gone this year. You're going to see them gone. Look at the infield. Amick gone. Moore gone. Burke gone. They're all going to be drafted high enough. They're not coming back. Dean Curley back. I think Dean Curley, when it's said and done, is going to be a stud in this program. I really, really do. Cal Stark gone. Unless he has a COVID year. I'm not sure where he falls in there. There was a part of me at one point said I thought Cal Stark gets picked. I don't know. Now, if he does, it's going to be on his defense because he's an excellent defender. His hitting, he's starting to get back to last year's type hitting, though. He's starting to be really ineffective, where earlier in the season he was very effective hitting. Cal Stark gone. Peebles will be back. So, I mean, you're looking at really returning guys who could factor into the lineup. I think Antigua goes to short, Curley third, possibly Bargo, Chapman, Peebles. That's 5 of your 9 position guys. Tennessee's going to have to hit the portal hard in these regards. I don't know if an Alex Perry possibly factors into. Brad Keylori takes that next step. What about some of your incoming guys? College baseball recruiting is really difficult to follow just because there's so many sites, and you got to pay an arm and a leg basically to even get information on them. I've not gotten to that point that I want to pay it. But I would say, we saw it a couple years ago in 22, when Tennessee lost, actually 21, they lost pretty much their whole offense, and then they had a record-setting lineup. They lost pretty much their whole offense again with Gilbert Beck and those guys. They made College World Series last year. They lost their best guys last year, and they're up there again this year. I feel very confident Tony Vitello will go out and restock this program. So they're going to have to get hitters. You're looking at pitching. Stamos, he's gone. A.J. Causey, he's going to get drafted. I feel very strongly he'll get drafted. Drew Beam, drafted. Nate Snead will be back. He's a sophomore. He will be back. Sechrist, gone. Cannell, gone. Aaron Combs will get drafted. He'll be gone. So, I mean, A.J. Russell will be back. Hopefully a healthy A.J. Russell. So there's your ace right there, A.J. Russell. They're going to have to hit the portal. Hope you close on that Luke Holman. They were not able to close on this year. I mean, they've done well with pitching in the portal, but I feel it's going to be a very vital year for Tony Vitello and his staff. And I'm just going to go ahead and prepare you now, too. We're going to hear Tony Vitello rumors with other jobs because he's 2 years out from his contract expiring. And supposedly, according to Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, he's pretty good. He's pretty good on his stuff. He's saying it's going to be crazy with jobs coming opening. There should be some big jobs come opening. So if you get one of these jobs with some big money, who's to say Tony Vitello, especially with the contract coming out 2 years away, that some program's not going to try to woo him on it. I really feel like Danny White and what he's doing, I don't feel it'll be an issue. But who knows? Who knows where they're willing to go with baseball, because it's not the biggest money maker on campus. It's not going to command football money. It's not even going to command basketball money But Tennessee's going to have to pay to keep Tony Vitello. I really believe that. And I'm not saying he's going to leave or it's imminent or anything like that, but I think you've got to prepare for a guy who's that good of a coach. There's going to be teams at least going to try to check on, hey, what's going on with the contract? Are you looking at it? So I feel confident Vitello will be here. I'm not saying that to alert or anything. It's just that I am prepared. We're going to hear his name with some jobs along the way. And the sooner they can lock him up, the better, in my opinion, with that. So that's what we're looking at next year. I'm not saying it to look grim. I'm not saying it that to be ominous or anything like that bad things are coming, because we've seen this team just reloads. Okay, it's not rebuild, it's reload with them. I think it will be the same, but I still feel they're going to have to go up and get some pretty good guys out of it. So, again, we're looking at this weekend. Let me see what the scores are looking like right now. See if they've updated. Every conference in America. Here we go. We're just top one according to D1 baseball, so not much there. Plan is I'm going to go live tomorrow right after this. Well, worked out pretty good here in the upstate. They're having the Southern Conference tournament. Good old ETSU is playing at 7 o'clock tomorrow night down in Greenville. We'll go try to catch them. So it kind of, in respect, worked out pretty good. So I'm going in and catch him at Floor Field. Pretty awesome field. It's they're the high A affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. So that field's kind of laid out with like that as well. Should be fun to take in. Also, who knows? Maybe one day they'll move the SEC tournament here. Highly doubt. They've got the women's basketball tournament here, but I don't think there's much else to talk about on baseball tonight, guys. Really, it is what it is. Vanderbilt 13-4. They took care of business. Tennessee did not. Am I upset about it? Nope. I hate to see our young guys look like that, though. It just tells me they've got a long way to go. And I was hoping to see one or two of them possibly show they belong on this stage, and they did not do that tonight. That was probably more than anything the most frustrating thing to me. And you allowed a pedestrian power team, not a pedestrian team, but just as far as power-wise, you allowed a team with not a lot of power to have their best night of the year as far as power went. That was kind of bothersome to me, but overall, we'll go into it. If we're sitting here next Friday or Saturday after game one talking about what the hell just happened and what's going to happen going forward, we might have some issues. We saw it last year. Tennessee went out in one game in the SEC tournament, and then they come out and went through the Clemson Regional, took care of business there, and then they won on the road at Southern Miss as well. So I'm not concerned about it at all. It is what it is. So we'll roll with that. We'll come on here tomorrow. We'll see what time that's going to be, and we'll go from there. If there's any change as far as conflict or anything, I'll let you know. I'll post on the website here. If there's any more Chaz Lanier news, I'll let you know on that as well. Of course, I released a video earlier tonight. I've been consistent with this the whole time. I've felt good about Chaz Lanier. Tennessee's been the consistent in that recruitment the whole time. People's been freaking out saying, no, this is over. It's done. No, it's not over. If it is over at this point, it's over for Tennessee in terms of Tennessee's won that recruitment. Tennessee is by no means never been out of it, and they're not out of it. People overreact, and that's what you get with it a lot of times. You got to let the things play out. Sometimes you got to look what's the consistent in it all. And sometimes it pays off to do research on that topic. I can't stress that one enough as well. But I'm going to wrap up on that one, guys. 50 minutes in. Thank you for coming on here tonight. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. The plan is right now, like I said, if anything changes, I'll post it on my YouTube channel about the change in schedule. It's just going to depend on if it conflicts with what I got in mind for tomorrow or not. But I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Have a good Thursday. Frank Rock, House of Orange, last but most certainly not least, even in a loss, go Vols.